You're welcome back to the platform, Nigeria. We are live at the Covenant Place. The platform, of course, is powered by Covenant Christian Center. And our next speaker is no one else but Mr. Olusegun Odegbami. He's a retired Nigerian footballer who has had an illustrious footballing career in the 1970s and 80s. He was nicknamed Mathematical 7 for his precise skill and speed of play. He has had one of the greatest careers in football in Nigeria. Until date, he remains a relevant force within Nigeria through his many endeavors with the government, sports bodies, clubs, and corporate organizations. All of this adds to the reason he was awarded the National Honor Member of the Order of the Niger MON. He was made a sports ambassador in 1998 as well as an inductee into Nigeria's Sports Hall of Fame. He has a vast array of knowledge and experiences garnered not only as a football player, but also as a grassroots developer, journalist, publisher, author, businessman, researcher, marketer, athlete manager, administrator, and educationist. Today, he's speaking on a very interesting topic: with sports, we can change Nigeria. Please join me and give a first-time platform welcome to Mr. Odegbami.
I thank you all very much, and I thank Pastor Koju for putting me in trouble. When I first had my conversation with the pastor, he gave me the option to select what I was going to speak about. I didn't know much about the platform. I had watched it. I watched part of it last year, and I just didn't have a grasp of the kind of topic that would suit the audience. I didn't know the theme of today's program, but I didn't hesitate at all. I just told him, I said, where's it again? With sports, we can change Nigeria. And that was a big mistake. I spent the whole of last night trying to put my thoughts on paper. At 3 o'clock this morning, I printed 25 pages. When I was leaving home this morning, I prayed. My prayer was, God, please, leave those things I wrote. Just come and put the words in my mouth so that it will reflect the theme of today's conversation. God has answered my prayer. I listened to Roman and Shegun, and I started to wonder, in all of the crises facing Nigeria, in all of the problems we have, almost impossible to think would happen to any nation. Me, an ordinary footballer, will now stand up and say we will use sports, as inconsequential as sports can be, to change Nigeria. That is the wrong topic. So at the same time, when I spoke with the pastor, I said, Pastor, look, you know, in our own sports, we don't have all these theories and technicalities and all those statistics and all those figures. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to come here and tell my story. Pastor said, fantastic. So right now, that's what I'm going to do. I have abandoned that topic. And I'm going to tell you my story. I love Nigeria. I love Nigeria with a passion for making me who I am today. Without Nigeria, I wouldn't be standing before a congregation like this, speaking on nationwide television and talking about the country and proffering some solution to our problems. Nigerians love sports. Nigerians love their football. Everybody mouths it. They say football is the greatest unifier in the country. It transcends religion, tribe, language, geography. When the Super Eagles are playing, every Nigerian forgets all those differences. And they all come together to support the team, and when the team wins, they just celebrate with abandon. They jump and hug each other without thinking where they come from. This should be a lesson about what sports, football can do to unify a people. I recall in 1968, just to demonstrate this subtle power of football to do things that are almost impossible. Santos of Brazil came to play here in Lagos. 1968 was in the heart of the Civil War. Pelé came with Santos, and they played against a select national team of Nigeria. It is reported, I don't know whether it happened, even though I was alive, that for the period of that match, the warring armies of Nigeria and Biafra, they ceased fight. They halted the war just so that the armies on both sides could listen to the commentaries on radio of what was happening in Lagos. It is recorded. That just shows you how powerful a tool football can be. And one that is even closer home. I'm just wondering, how can somebody, an Igbo man, wake up now and be thinking of war? Because I remember in 1971, immediately after the war, when the president of Nigeria then, General Yakubu Gowon, came, he said there was no victor, there was no vanquished. But everybody knew that there was a conquered army. Before the war, the Igbos were the dominant region in the country. They dominated education, they dominated business, they dominated the military, the police and everything. They were the most sophisticated, in fact, in Nigeria at the time. And then they were conquered. For them to come back to mainstream life of Nigeria, they needed to do something. The Igbos are industrious, they are hardworking people, and they demonstrated that when they came up with a subtle idea. Their leaders came up with a subtle idea. Rangers of Enugu. Let me tell you about Rangers. Rangers of Enugu were not a football club. Rangers of Enugu were a movement of the Igbo people. They rose from the ashes of that war, when nothing else could have brought back or removed that psychological depression. This team came up with the indefatigable, indomitable spirit of the Igbo man. Rangers came up in 1970. By 1971, they started to dominate Nigerian football. They won everything that could be won. Up to 1975, all over Africa, if you are talking football, that the whole of Africa loved, it was about Rangers of Enugu, Stanley Okoronkwo, Christian Chukwu, Emmanuel Okala. They dominated the consciousness. There wouldn't have been a stronger tool to heal the psychological damage of that war. But the Igbo man did it through a small club called Rangers of Enugu. And when they came back in 1975, 8 Igbo players were representing Nigeria, 8 of them. And I tell you, the influence they impacted in the Nigerian team, it still sustains up till today. Because Westerhoff said it, that look, give an Igbo man some incentives. Give him something to target at. Put money, attach money to it. Deprive him of it. Now deprive him of it when it is time for you to give him. And then you will see the fight. The do or die attitude. The fighting spirit. We go die for this cause. He said the Igbo man will give you that result. And that's what happened in 1994. It was that spirit that lifted Nigeria to win that 1994 Africa Cup of Nations. It still is the spirit of the Nigerian team, the Super Eagles. It is still there. So, football, sports, they have the power to do certain things. I will tell you a few of them. One is the unification of people, to bring people together. The second is big business. Everybody knows that football and other sports are some of the fastest growing businesses in the world. It is $1 trillion industry now. And if you look at countries like Saudi Arabia, like China, like India, they are investing heavily, including South Africa, into the sports business because it is the passion of the youth. The youth love sports. They love football. Many of them want to become JJ or Kocha and Kanu because it's a life of fame, it's a life of fortune, and now they are becoming powerful. George Weah wants to be president of Liberia. So it provides for the youth. These countries are investing heavily into sports.